God's healing voice protects all things today. 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 Well, thank you all so much for joining me here on the banks of the Gasconade River at Boiling Springs here near Dixon, Missouri on, what is today? Monday, October the 2nd of 2023, lesson 275. I'm Willie, Ozark forgiveness teacher. God's healing voice protects all things today. God's healing voice protects all things today. And that it's an artesian spring that pushes up from the higher elevation and comes into the river, the Gasconade River. And you can maybe see a little ripple of the water over there where it's bubbling in. 42 million gallons a day comes into the Gasconade River from this boiling spring. It's not a hot spring. It's just, it looks, the water's churning like it looks like it's boiling. God's healing voice protects all things today. Let us today attend the voice of God, which speaks an ancient lesson, no more true today than any other day. Yet has this day been chosen as the time when we will seek and hear and learn and understand. Join me in hearing, for the voice of God tells us of things we cannot understand alone, nor learn apart. It is in this that all things are protected, and in this the healing of the voice of God is found. God's healing voice protects all things today. And the prayer says, your healing voice protects all things today. And so I leave all things to you. I need be anxious over nothing. For your voice will tell me what to do and where to go, to whom to speak and what to say to him, what thoughts to think, what words to give the world. The safety that I bring is given me. Father, your voice protects all things through me. I love that last couple sentences when he says, the safety that I bring is given me. Father, your voice protects all things through me. God's healing voice protects all things today. And, it's pretty foggy, but as the fog lifts, maybe you'll be able to see a little better. What is the Christ? Christ is God's Son as he created him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. He is the thought which still abides within the mind that is his source. He has not left his holy home, nor lost the innocence in which he was created. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Christ is the link that keeps you one with God and guarantees that separation is no more than an illusion of despair. For hope forever will abide in him. Your mind is part of his and his of yours. He is the part in which God's answer lies, where all decisions are already made and dreams are over. He remains untouched by anything the body's eyes perceive. For though in him his Father placed the means for your salvation, yet does he remain the self who, like his Father, knows no sin. Home of the Holy Spirit and at home in God alone, does Christ remain at peace within the heaven of your holy mind. This is the only part of you that has reality and truth. The rest is dreams. Yet will these dreams be given unto Christ, to fade before his glory and reveal your holy self, the Christ, to you at last. The Holy Spirit reaches from the Christ in you to all your dreams and bids them come to him to be translated into truth. He will exchange them for the final dream which God appointed as the end of dreams. For when forgiveness rests upon the world and peace has come to every son of God, what could remain to keep things separate? For what remains to see except Christ's face? And how long will this holy face be seen when it is but the symbol that the time for learning now is over, and the goal of the atonement has been reached at last? So therefore let us seek to find Christ's face and look on nothing else. As we behold his glory, will we know we have no need of learning or perception or of time or anything except the holy self, the Christ whom God created as his Son. And our lesson again, God's healing voice protects all things today. God's healing voice protects all things today. Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to see over there. It's a pretty wide river here. Looks like the fog's lifting a little bit. Okay, let's go back and look in our text reading for today. We're ready for we're in chapter 28, the undoing of fear, and we're ready for Roman numeral 6, the alternate to dreams of fear. The alternate to dreams of fear. And let's take with us God's healing voice protects all things today. What on earth is going on today while you're turning to our reading? Blue Shirt Day, which is basically World Day of Bullying Prevention. And we need to look at that from an personal level. And, you know, our representatives, our nation, shouldn't bully. We need to do everything we can to not, just because one person's bigger or stronger, that they can force their way. That's very barbaric. We want to do things because they're true and good. Child Health Day, Day of Unity. That's the one thing, we should always have a thought of unity. Guardian Angels Day. Wow, that's kind of cool. National, it doesn't say national, just Guardian Angels Day. International Day of Nonviolence. And a really good book I'd recommend is by Marshall Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication. Instead of using force and violence, what we want to do is use understanding and appreciation for each other. National Consignment Day, National Custodial Workers Day, National Fried Scallops Day, National Name Your Cat Day, National Research Maniacs Food Day, Peanuts Day, and that's your Snoopy cartoon, Phileas Fogg Wager Day, and that was from Jules Verne's book in 1872, Around the World in 80 Days. Supreme Court Opening Day, so Supreme Court begins its new year on October, the first Monday in October. World Day of Architecture, World Farm Animals Day, World Habitat Day. Everybody needs a home, so let's think about, not just people, but the whole world, all animals, all birds. We all need our homes. That's World Habitat Day. World No Alcohol Day. Good day to quit drinking alcohol if you think you drink too much. Okay, Rappahannock Pawpaw. The Rappahannock Pawpaw out of Edible Landscaping, an Asimina triloba, and it's a Peterson pawpaw developed by Neil Peterson. Rappahannock pawpaw, this tree originated as a seedling from a tree in the Blandy Experimental Farm collection. Rappahannock has large fruits with a firm flesh and few seeds, 6% by weight. The flavor is superior as well, very sweet and refreshing, very vigorous with good yields, ripens early. The Rappahannock Pawpaw. Okay, and like I said, we're on the Gasconade River at Boiling Springs, and that spring puts out 42 millions of water a day. It'd be hard to figure out how they figured that. Okay, let's go look in our text reading in paragraph 47 of chapter 28, and let's keep in our mind all through the day, God's healing voice protects all things today. And be sure to try to do every hour of the day, bring that to your memory, and find something to be thankful for. And I like to try to find something to be thankful for to the point where it makes me smile. Something that makes me happy. You'd be amazed how much of the day we lose not being happy because we're not trying to be. If we have this daily discipline of every hour of the day, checking in with Great Spirit, with Holy Spirit, with the Great Holy Spirit, with God, and do your lesson, which is made to keep you, on the straight and narrow, and it helps you remove, if there's a temptation coming your way, it gives you something to think about that's in alignment with truth, with God. Okay, the alternative to the dream sphere. And then also, rather than just your hourly remembrance, be sure to do your longer period morning and evening. And I encourage people, if you're at the level where you can take whatever time you want in part 2 of the book. The highest that he reached to was about 30 minutes at one point, 15 minutes on a consistent basis towards the end of part 1. So probably about that much time would be excellent once or twice a day. But even if we only take 5 minutes, be sure to take a little time quiet with God, letting this thought today, God's healing voice protect all things today. The alternate to dreams of fear. What is a sense of sickness but a sense of limitation, of a splitting off and separating from, a gap perceived between ourselves and what is seen as health? The good is seen outside, the evil in, and thus is sickness separating off the self from good and keeping evil in. God is the alternate to dreams of fear. Who shares in them can never share in him, but who withdraws his mind from sharing them is sharing him. There is no other choice. Now, catch that. God is the alternate to dreams of fear. Who shares in them can never share in him, but who withdraws his mind from sharing the dreams of fear is sharing him. There is no other choice. Except you share it, nothing can exist. And you exist because God shared his will with you, and that his creation might create. 48. It is the sharing of the evil dreams of hate and malice, bitterness and death, of sin and suffering, of pain and loss that makes them real. Unshared, they are perceived as meaningless. Isn't that something? The sharing of them is what makes them appear real. The fear is gone from them because you did not give them your support. Where fear is gone, their love must come, because there are but these alternatives. Where one appears, the other disappears, and which you share becomes the one you have, either fear or love. You have the one which you accept. Because it is the only one you want to have. You have the one you accept, either fear or love, because it is the only one you want to have. You share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made. Very key, important idea right there. You share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made. And so he cannot be a part of yours, from which you both are free. Forgiveness separates the dreamer from the evil dream and thus releases him. That's what we want to do, is practice that forgiveness. That, how's he say it? Forgiveness separates the dreamer from the evil dream and thus releases him. 49. Remember, if you share an evil dream, you will believe you are the dream you share. And fearing it, you will not want to know your own identity because you think that it is fearful. And that'll be adverse to awakening. You won't want to wake up. You'll be afraid of yourself. That's why we got to learn to practice forgiveness so we can wake up gently. And you will deny yourself and walk upon an alien ground which your Creator did not make, and where you seem to be a something you are not. You will make war upon yourself, which seems to be your enemy, and will attack your brother as a part of what you hate. There is no compromise. You are yourself or an illusion. What can be between illusion and the truth? What can be between illusion and the truth? A middle ground where you can be a thing that is not you must be a dream and cannot be the truth. Paragraph 50. You have conceived a little gap between illusions and the truth to be the place where all your safety lies and where yourself is safely hidden by what you have made. Here is a world established that is sick, and this the world the body's eyes perceive. Here are the sounds it hears, the voices which its ears were made to hear, yet sights and sounds the body can perceive are meaningless. It cannot see nor hear. It does not know what seeing is, what listening is for. It is as little able to perceive as it can judge or understand or know. Its eyes are blind, its ears are deaf. It cannot think, and so it cannot have effects. Wow, isn't that something? Even though you can't have effects. What is there God created to be sick? And what that he created can be. And what that he created not can be. I read that wrong. Paragraph 51 again. What is there God created to be sick? And what that he created not can be. Let not your eyes behold a dream, your ears bear witness to illusion. They were made to look upon a world that is not there, to hear the voices that can make no sound. Yet are there other sounds and other sights which can be seen and heard and understood. For eyes and ears are senses without sense. Senses without sense. And what they see and hear, they but report. It is not they that hear and see, but you, who put together every jagged piece, every senseless scrap and shred of evidence, and make a witness to the world you want. Let not the body's ears and eyes perceive these countless fragments seen within the gap which you imagined, and let them persuade their Maker his imaginings were real. 52. Creation proves reality because it shares the function all creation shares. It is not made of little bits of glass, a piece of wood, a thread or two perhaps, all put together to attest its truth. Reality does not depend on this. There is no gap which separates the truth from dreams and from illusions. Truth has left no room for them in any place or time, for it fills every place and every time and makes them wholly indivisible. Let the truth be true. It's always going on. We don't have to put our imagination on it, our make-believe. You who believe there is a little gap between you do not understand that it is here that you are kept as prisoner in a world perceived to be existing here. The world you see does not exist because the place where you perceive it is not real. The gap is carefully concealed in fog, and misty pictures rise to cover it with vague, uncertain forms and changing shapes, forever unsubstantial and unsure. Yet in the gap is nothing, and there are no awesome secrets and no darkened tombs where terror rises from the bones of death. Look at the little gap, and you behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself when you have lost the fear of recognizing love. Okay, that last sentence again. Look at the little gap. That little gap, what we think is where we lay our meaning on it, and we make a world that's not real, because in that gap, that the way I like to think of that gap is the gap between me and my brother. That we think that it's empty space, then I can make it shaded, I can make him whatever I want him to be. Well, that's joining him in his dream, or making my own dream, putting him in it. But that need not be. Don't be so sure that what the eyes see and the ears hear are truly what's real. That's what he's trying to get us to see. There is an aspect of what you're seeing that's real, but that's the part that has to do with love, not with sin and guilt and fear. So that last sentence again. Look at the little gap, and you behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself when you have lost the fear of recognizing love. One more time on that sentence. Look at the little gap, and you behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself when you have lost the fear of recognizing love. Let's lose the fear of recognizing love. Okay, and this is really, the fog's lifted. Let me just take a quick moment, let you see this. See if you can see this cliff over here. It's really beautiful. Anyway, very beautiful place out here on this Gasconade River near Dixon, Missouri. And I was hoping that we could really be able to see well that spring. And it's a little ripple over there. It's about all you can really see of it. Anyway. Okay, well, let's sing our song. And thank you so much for joining me today here on the banks of the Gasconade River at Boiling Springs. God's healing voice protects all things today. God's healing voice protects all things today. God's healing voice protects all things today. What is the Christ? What is the Christ? Christ is God's Son as He created Him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. He is the thought which still abides within the mind, that is His source. He has not left His holy home, nor lost the innocence in which He was created. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God, and guarantees that separation is no more than an illusion of despair. For hope will ever abide in Him. Your mind is part of His, and His of yours. For hope will ever abide in Him. For hope will forever abide in Him. Your mind is part of His, and His of yours. Your mind is part of His, and His of yours. God's healing voice protects all things today. 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 Isn't that nice to think about? God's healing voice protects all things today. Let's tune in with God's voice. Do those hourly remembrances and giving thanks, realizing that God's healing voice protects all things today. Thank you again for joining me here on the banks of the Gasconade River at Boiling Springs. Peace. God's healing voice protects all things today.